Good morning. Today is Thursday, January 25th, and this is the time and place for the regularly scheduled Nevada Gaming Commission meeting for the month of January. If you could please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, has our agenda been posted in accordance with the open meeting law?
Yes, it has.
All right, at this time, I would like to remind anyone coming to the podium to speak, we ask that you speak directly into the microphone and speak clearly as this meeting is being transmitted electronically and being transcribed by a court reporter. Madam Secretary, if we could please proceed with our first agenda item, public comment.
This item is placed on the agenda to give the public an opportunity to comment on gaming-related matters.
Anyone who wishes to address the commission may do so at this time. Matters brought to our attention during public comment cannot be acted upon, but we are happy to hear comments of the public as well as any from my fellow commissioners. Comments by all will be limited to 3 minutes as a reasonable time, place, and manner restriction. If any of my fellow commissioners or myself ask any questions of the public, the time needed to address those questions will not be held against those time constraints. If you have any handouts or copies of your comments to provide, please do not approach the dais with those comments, but instead provide them to the enforcement agent who will take them from you. At this time, I'm going to go to Carson City. Is there anyone present in Carson City wishing to make a public comment? It appears there's no one present in Carson City to make public comment. Here in Las Vegas.
Hi, good morning. Diamante Asbury from the Culinary Union. Happy New Year to everybody. It's still January, so we can technically still say that. Culinary Union members just won a record-breaking contract. The Culinary Union's new contract at 23 plus properties on the Strip guarantees $9.21 in an economic package over 5 years. Every worker will be getting a 10% wage increase in the first year retroactive to June 2023 and a total of 32% in raises over the life of that new contract. Culinary Union members on the Strip have fought once again and won a first-class standard for themselves and their families. Meanwhile, Station Casinos workers are still being treated like second-class workers. Station Casinos does not provide benefits equally to all workers, providing some employees benefits about life, death, and money while denying the same benefits to other employees. Station Casinos could have stopped that discrimination against workers any day last year in 2023, but they refused. And over the course of workers unionizing and fighting that discrimination, Station Casinos has implemented enhanced benefits because workers have stood up, organized, and demanded better. Station Casinos management created mud lists, tracking which workers were pro-management, pro-union, or don't know. Station Casinos property directors used those mud lists to decide which workers to rehire during the pandemic, and these mud lists caused damage to station workers and their families. Workers at Station Casinos properties voted for the union and they won their elections by large margins despite the company fighting their organizing efforts. These workers are still fighting for the company to respect their voices and bargain a fair collective bargaining agreement with the Culinary Union. Station Casinos workers deserve first-class standards like other hospitality workers throughout the city, and they deserve dignity and respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you wish to give those comments to us in writing? Thank you. Come on up. Hi, good morning.
Días. Mi nombre es María Espinosa. He trabajado para Palacio Station en el departamento de Sanitation durante 20 años. Soy miembro del comité sindical. Hago saber a esta empresa que no respeta mis derechos como empleada. Voy a trabajar incluso cuando me siento mal. Tengo miedo de perder mi trabajo. Yo quiero un contrato para seguridad de mi trabajo. Muchos de mis compañeros de trabajo en Palace Station han renunciado, han sido despedidos por la compañía para que aquí está aquí está entrando seguidos se enferman frecuentemente. Despidieron trabajadores durante la pandemia y los han vuelto a contratar a muchos de nosotros con nuevos con nuevos, mm, con nuevos sueldos más bajos. Recontrataron, tienen un salario más bajo, no tienen su antigüedad, cerraron 3 propiedades, sacaron a trabajadores durante la pandemia. Parece que la gerencia divide los trabajadores. Queremos que nos ayuden, hemos trabajado duro, queremos algo mejor de la compañía, queremos un contrato, queremos seguridad laboral, queremos respeto e igualdad. Gracias y disculpen.
In English, my name is Maria Espinosa. I've worked for Palace Station in the sanitation department for 20 years. I'm a committee member for the Culinary Union. I'm making it known that this company does not respect my rights as a worker. I go to work even when I'm not feeling well, and I am afraid I may lose my job. I want a contract to secure my job. A lot of my coworkers at Palace Station have quit or been fired by the company, and it seems like my coworkers who are still here are stressed and they get sick more often. They terminated workers during the pandemic, and now they've rehired some of us as new employees, and I believe that those rehires are lower salary and don't have their seniority. They closed 3 properties and put those workers out of their jobs. And in my job, it feels like raises are not given equally. Seems like management divides the workers. We want you to help us. We've worked hard and we want better from the company. We want a contract, we want job security, and we want respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present that wishes to make public comment? All right, there's no one else present, and that will close our public comment section. Thank you. I'm sorry, did she want to give her statement in? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Madam Secretary, the next item on our agenda is the approval of the prior month's disposition.
Pursuant to NRS 241.035, this item is the consideration of the approval of the Nevada Gaming Commission disposition for December 2023.
I think each of us has had an opportunity to review the prior month's disposition, and unless there's any comments or questions, it's in proper form for a motion.
Chair, I move for approval of the prior month's disposition.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in the non-restricted consent item.
Your item on the non-restricted consent agenda this morning is item 3, and the recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval.
All right. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any comments or questions on this consent item? And if not, does one of you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve non-restricted item number 3 on the consent calendar, please.
Your microphone.
Could you restate it?
Turn on your mic.
It's on.
Oh, could you get closer?
It's green.
You're supposed to chew on the foam.
Hello?
Just kidding.
Why don't you just go ahead?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of non-restricted consent item number 3 as read into the record by Madam Secretary and recommended by the Gaming Control Board.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
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 And there are none opposed. Thank you. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in the restricted consent items.
Your items on the restricted consent agenda this morning are items 1, 3, 4, and 7. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions on the agenda, and I have a disclosure on these items.
Thank you so much. I do have a disclosure. 10th Street Gaming Technologies and United Coin Machine Company are adverse parties to a client of Louis Roque, the firm where I am a partner, in matters in which I'm not personally involved. I have no pecuniary interest in the outcome of this agenda item. I do not believe the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my position would be affected by the relationship described on the record, and I therefore intend to participate.
All right. Does anyone have any discussion or comments on the restricted consent items? Otherwise, I think it's in proper form for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of restricted items number 1, 3, and 4.
And 7?
I'm sorry. I have 1, 3, 4, and 7 as read into the record by Madam Secretary and recommended by the Gaming Control Board.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And there are none opposed. Thank you. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in the new game consent item.
Your item on the new game consent agenda this morning is item 1.
I'm sorry. was restricted for part of the,
Yes.
I have one more disclosure, apologies. Nevada Restaurant Services is a co-defendant in a case involving a client of Louis Roca, the firm where I am a partner, in matters in which I'm not personally involved. I have no pecuniary interest in the outcome of this agenda item. I do not believe the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my position would be affected by the relationship described on the record, and therefore I intend to vote on this item, and I have voted on this item, I think.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if we could go back to the new game consent. Did I have you read that into the record already?
I only got part.
Okay, so if you could please read in the new game consent item, Madam Secretary.
Your item on the new game consent agenda this morning, is item 1, recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval.
All right, if there's no discussion or comment on this consent item, I'm sure you were as fascinated as I was when you watched the meeting from before, just to kind of know what it's about. But I didn't think there was anything that required any questions or anything taxing. So unless you have comments or questions, I would entertain a motion.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move for approval of the new game consent item number 1, as read into the record by Madam Secretary, Ms. Nicole Rupert, and as recommended by the Gaming Control Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? There being no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are none opposed. Thank you. Now we're moving on to the non-restricted items held out for discussion. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in non-restricted agenda item number 1.
Unrestricted number 1 are the applications of Lee Ma and Ryan Comstock for licensure as an officer as noted on the agenda. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning. For the record, I'm Kimberly Maxon Rushton with the law firm Cooper Levinson. I'd like to say good Happy New Year to the members of the commission. Good morning to Dr. Watkins and Judge Assad. Joining me today are Lynn Ma, the Chief Financial Officer for AGT, as well as Mr. Ryan Comstock, the Chief Operations Officer for the group AGT. Also in attendance are Mr. Larry Wheeler. He is the General Counsel for AGT Americas, and Ms. Melanie Bellatrix. She is the Group Compliance Director for the company.
Can you spell her last name for the record?
Yes, Melanie Bellatrix is Bellatrix.
Thank you.
Thank you. As the commission materials reflect, both applicants have spent most of their professional career with Ainsworth Game Technology. Also, as you saw in the board records, Mr. Comstock is practically a Nevada native, having graduated from Bonanza High School as well as UNR. And although the applications are relatively straightforward and there were no areas of concern, Madam Chair, with your permission, I'd like to invite the applicants to come forward to do a brief affirmative presentation, tell you a little bit about themselves and about their duties and responsibilities with Ainsworth Game Technology.
Thank you. We really appreciate
Thank you.
getting to meet them.
Introduce Ms. Lynn Ma.
Thank you, Kimberly. Good morning to the chair and members of the Nevada Gaming Commission. Good morning as well to Judge Assad and Dr. Watkins. Nice to see you again. I'd like to take a few moments to provide a brief background of myself. I was born in Malaysia. After high school, I attended college in Sydney. I graduated from University of New South Wales, and that's where I obtained my Bachelor of Commerce. Since then, I pretty much call my Australia my home. I started working for Ainsworth Game Technology Limited in 2007 as an assistant accountant. During my tenure at AGT, I've been promoted several times into various roles within the finance department, with my last role being the group finance manager and assistant company secretary. When Mr. Latsky resigned from his position as CFO, I was appointed by the board. I now report to the group's CEO, Mr. Herbert Newman. Since filing my application within Nevada Gaming Commission, I have relocated to Nevada and currently live in Las Vegas, and I work from the AGT Inc. office. I appreciate the opportunity to provide a brief overview of myself, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much for that. We appreciate the opportunity to meet you. I'm going to open it up to my colleagues for any questions or comments they may have, starting with Commissioner Brown.
Good morning. Thank you for being here, Ms. Ma. What an impressive background you have. Welcome to Las Vegas. I know you just moved here in October.
Yes.
Hope you're adjusting well, and I hope that you're enjoying your time here. But I'm very impressed with your background, and I have no areas of concern.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
I did all the comments about a very impressive resume. Congratulations, Ms. Ma.
Thank
You
you.
mentioned that you have 10 or so employees in Las Vegas that report to you.
Yes,
There's
you're
about,
right.
what, about 200 in Nevada? Where are the others based? Just spread out, or they?
So we have offices in Florida, in you mean for the group? Yes.
Yeah.
So in total, we have about 520 employees.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have about close to 150 to 200 based in Australia.
Okay.
We have two offices in Australia, one in Sydney and one in Queensland. In US, we have a office in Florida and here, and we've got a couple of local operations as well in the Latin American region, Colombia, Peru, Mexico. Yeah.
Do you spend a lot of time in travel?
Yes, between here and Sydney, just because we're listed in Australia. So I'm going through an audit at the moment. So when there's a release of results and when there's an annual general meeting as well. So typically, I will expect myself to travel 3 times back to Australia.
Right. And you report to Mr. Newman. Actually, my recollection is he's based here. Is he not?
Yes, you're correct.
Good.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Solis Rainey.
Welcome, Ms. Ma. Thank you for being here. And I echo the comments about your impressive background. I did have just one minor question. It looks like your employment was transferred between the parent company and the subsidiary.
Yes.
What was the reason for that? That seemed odd since your responsibilities seem to be at the parent level.
I would say the one of the reason is probably the visa requirement. In order for me to work in the United States, I would have to be employed by entity that's established and based in United States. Yeah,
right.
but my role itself has not changed, so I'm still responsible for the group financial reporting. And
You're still a parent level employee. You were just transferred to the subsidiary for
yes,
immigration reasons.
yes, you are exactly right.
And your work visa, is that time limited?
Yes. So my work visa is for 6 years, but every 3 years, the immigration will review my visa, and typically it's a fairly simple renewal process.
Thank you so much. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you.
And is the microphone working? Yay.
I can hear you.
But they wanted to make me quiet too.
Yeah.
Ms. Ma, incredibly impressive. Welcome to Nevada. You've been here a whole 4 months. I hope you've settled in. This is one of those examples where I think in the media there have been some negative stories about C-suite and Section 16 officers of companies, but you're a bright light. I just think, again, the application you bring in your story is exactly what gaming here welcomes, and we welcome your arrival, fully support this, and good on the company. I think that from time zone issues, and I think I heard 7% of the revenue is generated out of here. It's a wise decision to bring you here and enjoy those 3 flights a year, whatever you do to Australia. Hopefully you get some leg room, but
Yeah.
I'm fully supportive and very excited about.
I'm really
on today.
I'm really honored to be given the opportunity by the company. So working for Mr. Newman is really a privilege, and also having colleagues like Ryan and Larry and Melanie as well. They've been so supportive of my transition here, and I'm so excited for the company. We're really heading in we've always headed for a really good direction, but it's going to be better. So I really look forward to be part of this company, and I'm so happy living in Las Vegas as well. It is a beautiful part of United States. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
I just had one more question out of
Yes.
curiosity. How are your girls liking living in Las Vegas?
Oh, they love it. They really, really like it. So skiing is only 45 minutes away. So that is an advantage rather than 6 hours. So they love skiing. So it's been really, really good. Yeah.
Good.
No,
They're at a
thank you
fun
so
age.
much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So they will adjust to 65 degrees this week in Las Vegas. That's what I'm seeing 65, 67.
It is quite a mild winter, I have to say.
Yeah.
We were in New York and Boston a couple of weeks ago, and that was cold.
Yeah. Well, I echo the comments of my colleagues. I know you'll get more leg room than Commissioner Krulicki ever gets. Um, But what a remarkable background, and we're happy to have you in Las Vegas, and I also support your application. So it was very nice meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the time.
At this time, Madam Chair, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ryan Comstock, the Chief Operations Officer for AGT.
Good morning.
Chair, good morning. Commissioners, good morning. Board members, great to see you again. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to appear in front of you here today. I'm Ryan Comstock, Chief Operating Officer of Ainsworth Game Technology. As a resident for almost 30 years, a proud graduate of UNR, and someone who has spent the last 20 plus years serving the gaming industry, I understand what a privilege it is to be here in front of you today. I've been at Ainsworth for over 11 years and licensed by the Gaming Commission since 2018. My scope has recently changed. I now have 2 direct reports in Australia, our General Manager of Business Services and our General Manager of Production. The similar roles here in Las Vegas have reported to me for quite some time, but this change has given rise to the need for me to become a key employee licensed for the Australian entity Ainsworth Game Technology Limited. So that's the purpose of me being here today. I'd also like to thank the Investigations Division for their professional and courteous manner in which it was conducted. And at this time, I'd like to answer any questions the commission.
Would like to
Well,
start.
thank you, Chair. Mr. Comstock, welcome. We barely had enough paper to list all the jurisdictions in which you are licensed.
Only 206, I believe.
Is it 106?
200.
No, that's what I had down. 200 over
Yes,
200. It's like,
yes.
wow, you're almost professional at it.
My kids think all I do is sign applications every day.
Do you also, excuse me, I may have missed that. Do you also report to Mr. Newman?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thank you.
You.
Thank you, Chair.
I have very important questions for you.
All right.
Does your wife make you work out because she's a fitness instructor?
Yes, she
I
does.
knew it. I knew it.
She's not as successful at that as she'd like to be, but yes.
I'm very impressed with your background as well. I think that you work very hard and you've gotten in front of us and before us, and just absolutely no reservations. It's a pleasure to meet both of you in person. I watched the presentation in front of the board and absolutely no areas of concern. Thank you for coming here today.
Great. Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
No questions, just comments. As a student of Nevada's history, I'm envious of your last name, Comstock,
Right, I know.
especially living in northern Nevada. So good on you. I wish I had that last name.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marcantonus already mentioned, I would like to see who has a record of the most licensed domiciles, 200 plus 206. It's pretty good. I thought Aristocrat and others were dominant. Good on
Yes.
you doing that. And your story is like the inverse of Smott's. You're homegrown, been here for decades. You have equity in this place, and in a different way, equally stated, your success and responsibilities are welcome to the industry and are recognized. And I am delighted to support your application today as well.
Thank you, Commissioner.
If I might, I think you addressed this at the board meeting, but how did you find, this Nevada process this time?
Yep, I thought it went very well. As I mentioned previously, the Nevada investigators are always very good to work with. It's more of a collaborative effort is kind of how I view it. We all want to ensure the integrity of the gaming industry. I think that's our common goal. And so there's no reason we can't work collaboratively to get there, which isn't the experience in all jurisdictions.
Yeah, I found that fascinating when you said that.
But certainly appreciate Nevada's approach.
Well, thank you for that. I too obviously support your application, and it's very impressive what you've accomplished in your career. And so if there's not any more questions, then we'll ask Mr. Wheeler to come up. and just say hi to us.
Morning, commissioners.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
How's general counsel work?
It's been good. I've been with Ainsworth for approximately 2 years now and have enjoyed it. Previously coming to Ainsworth, I was primarily on the operator side with some time at the Venetian, Las Vegas Sands Corp, as well as Boyd Gaming for a couple of years. And I've appreciated the opportunity that Ainsworth has provided me. It's kind of given me a well-rounded take on gaming, being on the manufacturer side. And I can't say enough about the company. It's been certainly a pleasure to work with everybody that's been there.
Well, because you're here, we just wanted to meet you and talk to you.
Yeah.
So even though we've heard one perspective about our licensing process, thoughts, comparatively speaking, I don't know that you didn't speak to that last meeting, right?
Agent Burke has been a pleasure to work with. The facilitating, having a learning curve and compiling all the documents. So.
And I'm just curious, in 5 months, how many jurisdictions have you had to work with?
206 at the minimal.
In 5 months?
Yeah, definitely, because we're predominantly in the Midwest.
Wow.
With tribes.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's a big.
Yeah.
But that has been a pleasure.
Welcome to the deep end.
I really look forward to working with you guys, and I'm excited to be a part of the collaboration. So.
Well, it's very nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Ms. Maxon or her?
Just one comment, if I may,
Yes.
Chair. Commend Mr. Newman for putting together such a strong team. Congratulations to you all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. All right. At this time, does anyone have a motion that he would make?
Certainly. Madam Chair, I move for approval of non-restricted item number 1, as read into the record by Madam Secretary, Ms. Nicole Rupert, and as recommended by the Gaming Control Board. Thank you.
All right. Is there any discussion or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate meeting you. Thank you. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in non-restricted number 2.
Unrestricted number 2 is the application of Holly for finding of suitability as at Flutter Entertainment PLC. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Good morning, Chair Tagliati, Commissioners, Madam Secretary. For the record, Erica Okerberg. I'm outside Nevada Gaming Counsel to Flutter Entertainment. Here with me today is the company's Chair of the Audit Committee, Holly Keppel. If I could, because she's a first-time applicant, we'll just ask her to provide a little bit of her background and speak with you about her duties and responsibilities in that role.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Chair Tagliati, Commissioners, Judge, Doctor. I'm Holly Keppel. I have been privileged to be appointed as the Chair of the Audit Committee of Flutter Entertainment PLC. I also serve as the Senior Independent Director there. I spent the first 30 years of my working career working for 3 different public utility holding companies, both domestically and internationally. I then moved culminating my energy career as a Chief Financial Officer of American Electric Power. I then went to work for Citigroup in an effort to spin out their infrastructure fund, which was successfully concluded in 2015. Transaction to Corsair Capital, and I served the 3 following years, 2 actively working and 1 as a senior advisor, and retired fully in 2018. I've served on public company and private company boards for over 20 years now. Public companies listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, the London Stock Exchange, and the New York Stock Exchange. Predominantly on audit committee, as well as I've chaired governance and compensation committees over the years. I currently serve on British American Tobacco, where I am the audit committee chair, as well as AES, New York Stock Exchange Energy Company. I am also the audit chair, and I am the chair of governance at Arch Resources. A little bit about my role as an audit committee chair. I have to say it's consistent at Flutter with what I've experienced at other entities, although given the maturity of the company, it's relatively new, very fast moving, under a very compressed timetable to list, in addition to London, delist at the Euronext, and at the end of this month, list on the New York Stock Exchange. It's been a lot of oversight and activity in the past 2 years. As I mentioned, I think I was appointed to the board in 2021, became audit chair in 22, became senior independent director there in 23. And with that, if you have any questions for me, I stand ready to answer.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here today, and I am going to open it up to my colleagues, Commissioner Marcantonis.
Thank you. I was fascinated to hear it when you were appearing before the Gaming Control Board about the background, your second visit, I believe it was, for the NCAA swimming championships. What is, give us some background in that. I was fascinated.
Yeah, it was my second trip to Las Vegas. The first was when I was a small child. I was fortunate enough to be born late enough that Title IX, Women's Athletic Grant Aid, was passed my senior year in high school. And so I was able to attend Ohio State University on athletic grant aid and as a swimmer. And that required me to compete nationally. And my final race was at the NCAA championships in Vegas in 1980.
How did you do?
Strike that from the record.
I actually made it to the finals, but I was 6th.
Oh, congratulations. Most people don't come here for swimming.
Well, there was plenty of water in the pool, so no water shortage.
Thank you for that background.
Commissioner Brown?
You are just fierce, watching you, listening to you. You're so polished, you're so eloquent. It was just such a pleasure watching the colloquy between you and the board. Just a super impressive background. I hope with your wealth of wisdom and knowledge and intelligence and experience that you offer some sort of mentorship to young women or young business people wherever you are, because there's so much to learn from you.
Throughout my career, I have been blessed to have the opportunity to advance both women and men. I've had a number of people that work for me that are CEOs of other public companies, and I'm really proud of that, actually. But as I've transitioned into this, I'll call it retirement career, I'm very pleased with the initiatives, particularly at Flutter, to advance women in an industry that is predominantly male-dominated, which was most of my career. And our new Chief Financial Officer, Paul Johnson, has set up an initiative and has a number of the female directors on the board speaking. And it's inclusive of people beyond the Flutter network. It's broader, and he's tapped into his former colleagues. And so I'm speaking to people that are in the hotel industry, finance industry. It's really, it's a privilege, and thank you for that. It gives me confidence that I might be relevant.
You are relevant, and if you've earned that confidence. What is your one piece of advice you'd have for a new attorney, a new business person? You have so much wisdom. I'd like to hear your one piece from all of these years of experience.
This will sound incredibly simple, and it's pretty much the golden rule. You need to understand and know what is right. And I will hearken it back to the question around regulation. Regulation really isn't the rules. You need to understand the law that required the regulation put in place. More importantly, the intent, the purpose, the reason, and know what you're doing is right for today. And as things evolve and technology changes, industries change, know how regulation needs to adapt and evolve, and maybe new laws need to be passed. But knowing what's right and doing what's right and hopefully seeing what needs to be done. That's, if you can do all those things, you'll be successful.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm truly honored to meet you. And I know you'll do an excellent job, and Flutter's very, very lucky to have you. One final question. Have you been to Ireland? I know they're Ireland based. Since we're asking travel questions today, I'd like to know.
Well, interestingly, as a London Stock Exchange listed company of Irish domicile, Irish regulators do not let conduct business in London. And so we meet predominantly in Ireland. So yes, been to Dublin quite a bit.
Excellent. Well, thank you. It's been such a pleasure listening to you today. Thank you for coming.
Commissioner Solis Rainey.
Ms. Copel, thank you for being here. I echo the comments made, and I am jealous of the Ireland travel. I have no interest in the Sydney travel, the Australia travel. But your background is incredible, and I think the company is lucky to have you. I don't have any concerns or questions. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chair Tagliati. And it's Keppel, correct? Ms. Keppel, thank you so much.
My husband's name. You can pronounce it any way you like.
Thank you for being here and having such an exquisite resume for us to noodle through. At the risk of holding your success against you, forgive me, but I've done this to, I think, every applicant that has multiple board responsibilities. Someone who's in that space, chaired audit committees, public companies. You said 6 hours a month is your anticipated time as chairing the audit committee per month for Flutter. I find that extraordinarily small. That means everything is well, but it's the time that it takes for clients and preparing for earnings calls, and you're juggling 3 other companies at the same time. Time zones, too, Asia, Europe, it's 24/7, 7 days a week. I get it. The more you take on, the more you can do. So again, I'm totally of that school, and that's you. Discipline as a swimmer and an athlete, tells me, but it assures me that you're capable of doing all those things. But do you have any restrictions at this point on any of the board obligations or Flutter to not assume additional board responsibilities? Are you limited to these 4 companies?
Yes. And it would be a self-imposed restriction, but it's also something that the rating agencies look at, like ISS.
Absolutely, they look at it. There are
And
multiple jurisdictions and about to be triple listed Flutter. So
well, just double. Euronext dumped us.
I heard that. Oh, they really? Okay, my apologies, but still a dual listing makes life more interesting as an audit committee chair. And you chair, you said you audit committee chair another company?
2, actually.
2 others.
And the limit, again, ISS is a total of 3 audit committee chairs. I could not chair another audit committee, even if I were asked.
Who is your outside auditor at Flutter?
It's KPMG. They're also the outside auditor at British American Tobacco. So both of my LLC
different KPMG teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, again, it's not a critique. It's just, been there, done that. God bless you for doing that. But, that audit portfolio is profound. It changes. If something unpleasant happens, you're the phone call, and it's, your signature and all those kind of things. So I just, is again somebody who I absolutely believe can multitask exponentially. Keep your eye on the ball. We're fortunate to have you. I have no doubt about your skill sets, but it's thin. And be ready. And from the other companies are important, but I'm not a shareholder here. Gaming Commission, and as a licensee, I care a whole lot. Don't lose focus on this part because the ramifications are far more public, personal, and more ramifications.
And in the context of that 6 hours, I think I also said it's a lot more than 6 currently. If things were normal, as in mature in the processes, it would eventually evolve to that. But that is a couple of years away for Flutter. Between the dynamic with the SEC filing the 20F and being listed, or hopefully listed, the end of this month, then leading up to Sarbanes-Oxley first 303 and then 404 compliance, which of course is a big, and we have staffed it well, both internal as well as additional supplemental resources from Deloitte. I have been spending oh gosh, I would say 4 to 5 days a month on Flutter.
That sounds better to me.
And it's needed now because there's a lot on the plate.
Understood. So again, I say it gently and I say it almost reverently, what you've been able to accomplish. But at some point, if two companies have issues simultaneously or other issues difficult, and you've got the hard timelines of public companies of, the quarterly earning, all of those lovely things that you can't control. So Godspeed, good luck. We're watching. Congratulations, and I'm very comfortable but mindful of your portfolio.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, answering all of our questions. I echo the comments of my colleagues as far as your background, and it's impeccable. And I support your application, and I'm going to call for a motion. At this time, does anyone have a motion?
If I may, Chair?
Yes.
I move for approval of non-restricted item number 2 as recommended by the Gaming Control Board and as read into the record by Madam Secretary.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are none opposed. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, if you could please read in non-restricted number 4.
Non-restricted number 4 is the application of Jody Font for temporary licensure as executor as noted on the agenda. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda. I believe we have a recusal on this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With respect to non-restricted item number 4, I have a disclosure and a recusal. My firm and I were retained last year to address the subpoena for an attorney colleague. It has been my personal policy not to accept any legal work for clients involved in gaming matters with whom the firm did not have an established relationship prior to my appointment to this position. However, I learned later after undertaking the matter that it involved the litigation that Ms. Famfa is a part of. Although the representation was brief and did not directly involve Ms. Famfa, and it had concluded within weeks, the work that I did could affect the independence and judgment of a reasonable person, and I will recuse from participating and voting on this matter as a result.
Okay, I thought I had waived your client's appearance,
I
but
didn't receive anything to that effect.
okay.
I received that we were required to appear this morning.
Well, you were required to appear, but thank you for
Jody,
coming.
you can go.
We met many years ago, and I don't know if you remember.
I do, of course.
Yes, well, it's good to see you.
Good to see
I don't want to say like decades. How many decades? 3?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Yeah, it's been a long time. So it's nice to see you again. Thank you for being here. Apologize for the miscommunication. I thought I had waived your appearance and just asked you to appear to answer any questions we might have, but I do appreciate the opportunity to meet you again, and thank you for being here. At this time, did you have any comments, or do you want me to open it up for any questions? I mean, we watched the board meeting, almost all of us, if we haven't read it. So
Good morning, Chair and members of the Commission, Madam Secretary, Sonia Vermaze from the law firm Bernstein, Hyatt Barber Schreck, on behalf of the applicant Jody Fonfa, who's to my right. As you know, she's here requesting an extension of her approval for licensure as the executrix of the estate of Andrew Fonfa. As you said, Madam Chair, you did see the board meeting and our presentation and the explanation behind the request, but we are happy to answer any questions that you have.
I will open it up to my fellow commissioners. Commissioner Brown.
Thank you so much, Chair. In the avoidance of doubt, it's my understanding that instead of a 2-year extension, that the board recommended a 3-year extension just to ensure that there's sufficient time to address the litigation and the procedural posture of the case and potentially appellate matters.
That's correct. And I think you of all people would know how long litigation can go. So that was the reason to give that extra tag on so that we don't have to come back if not necessary.
And I take no issue with that. I think 2 years might have been conservative, and 3 years, I think, gives you a little bit of wiggle room in case an appeal is filed.
Right. Thank you.
I did have a question for you, Ms. Fonta. Nice to meet you. I'm glad you came, actually. I understand that you serve on the board of directors for the Debbie Allen Dance Academy since 2013. Do you still serve?
I do.
Well, that is wonderful. And can you tell us anything about community initiatives or anything that you're proud of that the Academy does?
Well, there's a ton of things. In fact, my daughter is the art curator for Debbie Allen Dance Academy, which is kind of another arm that we're doing at the Academy. And they're raising money for young artists. They're doing an art therapy. There's shows upon shows that raise money for various causes for young kids that need opportunity, that may not have the opportunity to dance. There's all forms of art too. There's not just the dance. I'm just trying to think. We do a beautiful gala every year that of course raises money for various causes all around the world. And we also have something that we implemented since 2020 with COVID, where you can go online and take classes. So kids from all over the world that can't really afford it, we've offered that as well, which is kind of nice. And I happen to be one of the presenters, so I'm very proud of that.
Well, thank you for being a positive source in the community and giving back and nurturing young people who have needs to be part of a community, the art community specifically. I think it's wonderful work and very important. It can't be undervalued in our society.
I appreciate it. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
They work very hard. So
it's a pleasure to see you.
Commissioner Marcantonis.
Thank you for being here. Of course, today, this has been, in the event of passing of anyone, but this has been obviously a very difficult 3 years for yourself.
Yes.
Not only from the emotional part, but obviously the business sense too. And I wish you the best of luck as you, and hopefully it is resolved within the next 2 years. But I will be very happy to support that application today. Thank you, Chair.
appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Krolicki.
Thank you, Chair Tagliati. Good morning. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. I mean, you missed that.
Me
memo.
too.
I too, as you've heard here, and certainly from the Game Control Board, what a couple of years you've had. Totally get that. And thank you for smiling, being resolute through noise and loss and all of those things, plus a sticky wicket business situation. It's one thing to take something that's moving forward, but you've got to deal with many things. So, and your application is profoundly understood. So, I'm full support. Just questions and maybe Ms. is better suited to answer, but is for the Lucky Dragon, that's what most of this litigation is about.
Correct.
Does that include the EB5 investor? I know there was a significant amount of EB5 money that Mr. Wyden, I think, brought in, and even Meg Pittman from California had family monies and that. But or those are the parties to litigation.
Well, I don't know about that entity in particular. That was one of the entities in the chain of ownership of Lucky Dragon, but Mr. Fonfa and Mr. Widener were guarantors of the debt. So they are individually, that's why there's the ongoing deficiency judgment case that's out there. I think that entity actually also had other assets possibly outside of the Lucky Dragon, but I'm not comprehensive
I'm just
of
trying to get
everything.
perspective, but especially if there is a global EB5, federal. I mean, the noise that you've got to wiggle through here legally for some time to come. I get. So good on you. Godspeed, got strength, and fully support the extension. Understand the reasons.
Well, I need your support, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, again, appreciate you being here today to answer any of the questions and be here just because of the open meeting law. I don't know exactly what commissioners think and before the meeting, so I am glad you're here, even though there was a miscommunication. So in any event, does someone have a motion?
Certainly. Thank you, Chair. Madam Chair, I move for approval of non-restricted item number 4, as read into the record by Madam Secretary, Ms. Nicole Rupert, and as recommended by the Nevada Gaming Control Board. Thank you.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed, and the record should reflect Commissioner Solis Rainey recused on this matter and did not participate in the vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, could you please read in non-restricted number 5?
Non-restricted number 5 is the application of Matthew Denning licensure as a key employee at Gold Dust Reno. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval.
And
good morning.
Good morning again, Chair, members of the Commission, Madam Secretary. Sonia Vermees from the law firm Brownstein Hyatt Barber Schreck. To my right is the applicant Matthew Denning. This is his application as a key employee to be the general manager at the Gold Dust West in Reno. Mr. Denning has been in the industry over 20 years, having climbed the ladder with the Jacobs organization. And he's happy to answer any of your questions and give you a little bit about his background.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Morning, Judge Assad. Good to see you again. So just talk a little bit about my background. I moved to Northern Nevada about 30 years ago. And about 27 years ago, I got my first casino job. I would change person, working graveyard in a casino in Carson City. And then I just kind of worked my way up through that, went on to a key person, a slot supervisor. And then about 17 years ago, Jacobs Entertainment bought the casino. And at that time, I was promoted to a manager on duty. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I decided to go back to school. And so I decided, to go back to UNR and get my bachelor's degree, something I really wanted to do. So I did, went to WNC, did another couple of years, finished up my bachelor's degree at UNR. And then shortly after that, I was promoted to a slot manager in Carson City. And then I did that a couple of years after that. We did a big remodel at the Gold Dust West in Reno. So I came over there as the slot manager to take over that casino. And then about a couple of years after that, we bought the Sands Regency right down the street, and we've did a remodel. I was there for 5 years as the AGM. That's now the J Resort. We just rebranded as the J Resort. And as soon as we were done doing that, I had an opportunity to go back to the Gold Dust West in Reno as the general manager, and I jumped all over. It's kind of a dream of mine to be in front of the board, and a little bit nervous because, like I said, it's always been a dream. But yeah, that's kind of my background in the casinos.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to meet you. So thanks for being here. And I'm going to open it up to any questions or comments of my colleagues, starting with Commissioner Krolicki, who's got his finger on the button.
I do. Mr. Denning, welcome to today for being with us and coming down to Las Vegas. I think I misnamed you on the last. It's for Maze. I'm your fan, so my apologies. I'm not switching page quickly enough. But you've got, you're old school. You've been there. You've done it the hard way, and the grit and time. I see how this cycle is a very pleasing part of your gaming career, and I fully support this. And just good on you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Denning. I echo the comments of you coming up the hard way. I think other than the count room personnel, the old style change people had one of the hardest jobs in the casino. So great job moving your way up from that. It takes a lot of grit and determination, and you've shown that. So I don't have any questions or concerns. I wish you the best of luck.
Commissioner Brown.
Welcome. I was very excited to meet you, and I watched your presentation in front of the board. You said it was your dream, and it's so nice to have a dream and then make it materialize through grit and tenacity and hard work. I admire you so much. I can't believe you went back to school, 4 kids, 100 employees under you, just impressive. And I have to ask you, what advice do you have for people who are in your position who think, I just don't have the time? Like, what kernel of advice do you have to push them and be the catalyst? Because I think you're not only enriching yourself, you're creating a better mind for the people you work with, and you're creating more opportunities for yourself. And I sometimes see applicants come before me where like, yeah, I stopped going to school. But what's your advice to them? Because if you can do it with as much as you have going on.
It took me a long time.
But you did it.
20-year process, but I finally got serious. I think a lot of it is you have to have the motivation, the right things that motivate you. And at the time I had 4 children and a wife, and that's a lot of motivation. And then make sure you find that support group. And I had that in my family. There was a lot of, my wife had to pick up a lot of the slack, because I'm working for 40 plus hours a week, and actually going in school. I went to UNR every day and went to classes, and so just find what motivates you, and make sure to get that support group, because they'll cheer you on.
I commend you, and I appreciate you appearing in front of us today. You've really worked your way up from, slot supervisor to slot manager to assistant manager, general manager now. I mean, that's just impressive. And I wanted to thank you for your service in the Navy. I didn't want to let today go by without saying that. Thank you.
Commissioner Marcantonis.
I was satisfied with everything I heard in front of the Gaming Control Board. Congratulations, great background. I mean, anyone working a graveyard shift as their first step in their career is a very brave person. And I only say that because I too did that. So congratulations. Do either of your 2 eldest or any of them in the same industry? The principles that you were just asked were go out there, work hard. How do your experiences translate to how you've certainly raised the 2 eldest to adults now?
All my children are different, but no, they all do great. My son is in food and beverage. I'm not in casinos, though. He's avoided the casinos. But I love it. You have to love casinos to really appreciate working in that industry. Sure. If you don't understand and love the casino industry, then it's probably not for you. My oldest daughter is a biologist, so she's she's a graduate from UNR as well, and then my other 2 children don't have a lot of interest in the casino industry. My youngest son he's at Southern Utah University. He wants to be a teacher, so he's studying that. And then my youngest daughter is 16 years old. In fact, she's down here right now at the Orleans competing at a national cheerleading competition. So when I'm done here, I'll spend the next 2 days watching her cheer. So
wow.
That's good timing.
It all worked out well.
Yeah.
My wife's actually down here as well. She does contract work for the Super Bowl. So each year for about 17 years, they fly her out to the Super Bowl, and she helps coordinate some parking and things like that. So she's actually down here this weekend as well. So kind of all worked out. We're here together.
Basically, you're on the clock right now, is what you're saying.
Glad the Gaming Commission can accommodate your family schedule.
I appreciate that. Fit you guys in there.
Squeezing it in. Well, good luck on the competition. And we appreciate you being here. If there are no questions or comments, I think it's time for a motion.
Madam Chair, once again, but I will move for approval of non-restricted item number 5, as written to the record by Madam Secretary, Ms. Nicole Rupert, and as recommended by the Nevada Gaming Control Board. Thank you.
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes, we've been asked to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll reconvene in 5 minutes and undertake the restricted items held out for discussion. Thank you. Okay. Madam Secretary, I believe that brings us to our restricted items held up for discussion. We are trailing restricted item number 2, so please read in restricted item number 8.
Restricted number 8 is the application of Shortline Gaming LLC doing business as Shortline Gaming doing business at US Market for a restricted gaming license. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
You were
Good
so
morning, Chair.
relaxed.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Surprise.
Yes, and hello, Judge. Dwayne Shields, Shortline Gaming. We are the route operator for this location.
Thank you for being here today. I just had to pull you first at the request of another item. So at this time, I'm going to open it up for any questions or comments about this agenda item. Starting with Commissioner Marcantonis.
Certainly. Good morning and thank you for being here. And is the opening still looking like 10th February, or was that the date that I have, or did I have a?
They believe it's going to now be towards the end of February.
Oh, so it's okay. So 2 more weeks.
Mhm,
Okay,
that's correct.
I would have thought if I mean, you will know, right?
Yeah.
We would have known. So I wasn't asked to take it off. So here you are. Commissioner Brown, do you have anything?
Welcome. Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you.
Did you have any issues with the conditions that were recommended by the Gaming Control Board?
No, those are standard conditions. We're fine with those. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no areas of concern.
Anyone else? All right, there being no areas of concern or additional questions or comments, does anyone have a motion?
Chair, I'll move for approval of restricted item number 8 as read into the record by Madam Secretary and as recommended by the Gaming Control Board with conditions as recommended by the Gaming Control Board.
All right, any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm here for item 9.
Yes, Madam Secretary, if you could please read in restricted number 9.
Restricted number 9 is the application of Shortline Gaming LLC doing business as Shortline Gaming doing business at US Market for a restricted gaming license. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Good morning, Dwayne Shields again, Shortline Gaming.
Thank you. At this time, does anyone have any questions or comments on this particular agenda item? Commissioner Brown.
Thank you so much, Chair. Sir, other than the gaming staff, do you know if there are any efforts made by the applicant to reach the administrative staff at the Goddard School to discuss their thoughts or concerns regarding the proximity of the proposed location to the extent there were any concerns?
No, I do not know of any attempt that they made actually on that. We did follow up as far as to find out at the last meeting, they asked if the storage unit had a on-site person. They do not have an on-site person. We did also though then contact the operations site for US Market and then reminded them that the importance of ensuring that no children are over in the gaming area and taking the appropriate actions.
Thank you very much. I have no other questions. And again, you have reviewed the conditions and you have no issues with those, correct?
We have no issues on that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chair Tagliati, if I might, I had the opportunity to some meeting and issues such as that were broached. I had a chance also to drive by the site, and it is a daycare. It's not K through 12. It was made very clear in front of the Gaming Control Board. While it shares a similar platform, I think it's all separated. How parents drop off a preschooler versus a K through 12 student is very different. So those concerns I've mitigated by investigation, hearing the various conversations to it. So I'm perfectly comfortable in this application.
Just briefly, this location is 300 feet from the Goddard School.
Yes, that's approximately, yes. There's it's the convenience store's on the corner. Then you go into, there's a storage unit that then butts up that actually proceeds forward, and then back to the left again is then the Goddard School, which is then back off the street further. So they're not like running parallel where you see them from
Okay.
one side to the
And then there's a gaming license holder about a half a mile away from the Goddard School, correct? It's my understanding from the materials. Do you know which establishment that is?
That would maybe be the Smiths further down on the north side. Or they could say south and they could go to the Blue Diamond Rainbow AM/PM.
Okay.
That's on the opposite side of the street.
Thank you, sir.
There was also discussion at the meeting about parents bringing children into the market to, and discussion about how there had been 15 visits. Recall that? And you didn't see any kids there? There were no kids?
That I had made,
Well, that there had been previous visits there.
that I had made a couple of visits, but
Oh, a couple? I thought I heard 15.
not 15, no.
I was going to
think I
say, well,
made-
you really like that place.
No, not that much. I went over there 3 different times.
They have the best Slurpees in town. I'm just kidding.
Go to Shortline Express.
Just kidding. But you're, as far as, and, I just want to make a record that it's clear that the board wasn't concerned about that. And it is good of you to have thought to communicate with them and advise us of the same today. So we appreciate that. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Oh, I'm comfortable.
All right. Does anyone have a motion?
Sure, I'll move for approval of restricted item number 9 as recommended by the Gaming Control Board and is read into the record by Madam Secretary with the conditions as set forth and recommended by the board.
Sorry about that. Cut you off. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there are none opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
You too. All right. Do I have gaming counsel for restricted number 2? Do you want me to continue to trail it? Or do you think you're ready to go? Okay. Yes, I have a gaming employee registration appeal. I shouldn't say we, and we're going to call that. Okay, thank you. At this time, Madam Secretary, if you could please call the item on consideration for the gaming employee registration appeal.
Next for your consideration is 1 gaming employee registration appeal. The item is Alicia Conrad, case number 2010-7643L.
You, Ms. Conrad? Yes. Excuse me. I have to say that again because my mic wasn't on. You are Ms. Conrad? Yes. Okay. Thank you for being here. This is the time set for your appeal hearing. Let me tell you kind of how this works and procedurally. First of all, we as a group, the commission, are limited to the materials that were considered when we say below, meaning the hearing that you had before. So we don't take any additional evidence, right? We can hear your comments and what you have to say on the evidence. And the kinds of information we have are prior police reports and the findings of the hearing master, and we have the transcript of your hearing. So we've all had an opportunity to go through all of that before you got here today. And so the way it will work is you have the opportunity to make a statement where you can advise us of the reasons why you believe your appeal should be granted. I will open it up for questions or comments by the commissioners. There will be a point, excuse me. There will be a point when we close the hearing part and there will be a motion and discussion of the commission. At that time, I don't intend to solicit any questions of you because your participation will have ceased and we are in the deliberative stage and we will have a vote. So does all of that make sense?
Okay, yes.
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 I do have a couple questions before I open it up for questions that are more about your attorney in the pending case and an update on the pending case. So before I open it up for questions, I'm asking first, do you have an update on what's going on with the pending case?
Currently, no.
Okay. Do you have a court date?
I have a court date. I believe it's April 5th. somewhere fourth, somewhere around there.
Can you advise me what what has occurred in the case so far? What stage you're in?
So I believe it's set for a preliminary hearing. I retained new counsel.
Did you talk to your counsel about coming here today?
I did not speak to them about it. I spoke to my previous counsel about it. And
so did you tell your previous counsel, I'm going to go to a gaming hearing and I'm going to talk about my pending case?
Yeah, I did tell them that. Prior, they gave me a letter that I submitted to you guys, which they just said that they believe the outcome is going to be favorable.
I saw that. I saw that letter.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that's that person's opinion. But in the meantime, what I'm really getting at is, you have a right not to make statements about your criminal case before your criminal case is done.
Right.
And here you are making statements that are recorded, which presumably you need to do to convince us to give you your appeal consideration. But I just want to make sure that you know what you're doing.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And you already did it once.
Right.
So kind of cat's out of that bag. But you're telling me before you did that, you spoke to your previous attorney.
Correct.
You just haven't spoken to the new attorney.
New counsel. Correct.
Okay. And who is your new counsel?
It's Draskovich.
Okay. All right. So
Chair, talk to the audience.
I just one other question. Is there any reason why you didn't mention to him that you were going to have this hearing and be talking about your criminal case? Because there's a very real chance that people up here would ask you questions about it.
No,
because here's
what I just didn't really about it. My last counsel, they kind of blew me off when I told them I might want them to be here to kind of represent me. So I didn't have the chance.
Well, here's the thing. I'm talking about two different things. One thing you're talking about is having a lawyer here for you today, which you're certainly welcome to do. And if you wanted to push this out 1 month, I would consider doing that so that you could either ask him to participate or get his legal advice about today.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me either way, whether you have a lawyer or not,
Okay.
but I am concerned that, I know what the charges were upon arrest.
Mhm.
I don't believe I have a copy of the criminal complaint that was filed in Las Vegas Justice Court. Is that where your preliminary hearing is? Henderson, that's right. Excuse me. So do you have a copy of the complaint?
I don't have a copy of it on me, no.
Okay, but does it charge you with a felony robbery?
Does not.
What does it charge you with?
Oh wait, it might be yes, I think it might be a felony. Honestly, at this time, I don't recall.
Well, look, I don't give legal advice, but that is far more important than this.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit concerned that you haven't spoken to Mr. Draskovich before you open yourself up to 1, 2, 3 lawyers.
Okay.
And very sophisticated business people asking you questions about your criminal case, because that's part of our, it's not because I'm not, trying to be helping any prosecutorial agency by being up here. Okay, that's not my job, and I would never do that. What I'm concerned about, though, is because it relates and is very specific to your gaming registration. It's fair game, and there's no 2 to 15-year felony if at the end of this you either get your appeal granted or you don't, and then the ramifications are they're serious, they're very serious, but not like the criminal case.
Right.
So I'm just concerned. I'm not giving you legal advice, but I am concerned if you go forward today, it's a little hard to kind of take the fifth on certain questions and not on others, but that'll be up to you, I guess. You've already answered some questions about it at the previous hearing, but I'm just concerned that you haven't spoken to Mr. Draskovich about this. That's my only, but if you could, if you want to go forward, we'll hear from you and you can minimize or decide what you want to say, but you know,
Okay, I'd appreciate it if you'd be willing to push it off, which is basically the whole reason why I'm here, because I know I was already denied and it's based off of more or less these pending charges, which I was, I'd like to see the outcome of the case, if I could, before you guys make a decision.
I think that's a very wise consideration
Mhm.
because for the reasons I already stated, that's a very serious matter. And not that this isn't serious. We take it very serious. We read, this much material on your case. Some of us type notes like a maniac and have lots of questions. And I guess what I'm saying is you can't take it back when it's over, right? And have Mr. Draskovich look at you and say, why didn't you call me?
Yeah.
So
Correct.
we can do one of two things. Here's what I suggest. Do we have any next month, Nicole? I suggest I put this over next month and that you notify our secretary after you speak to Mr. Draskovich if you would like to push it out a few more months.
Okay. Sounds
Okay?
wonderful. Yeah.
It's not something that you have to go forward on immediately, although I would appreciate maybe a couple weeks notice so we don't reread it.
Okay.
If you want to push it out further, okay?
Yeah,
But
I appreciate that.
I can't tell you, I think it's really important for you to speak to him.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. So can't I just continue it to the next meeting?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so what is our next meeting date again? February 20, hold on.
22nd.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to put it over to February 22nd, and I'm going to ask if you could let us know by February 9th if you want us to move it, because I have to post it with, open meeting laws. We have to post it and put it in front of the public that it's on our agenda. Okay?
Okay. Is there contact information?
Yes. Can we give her contact information? We're going to get you some contact information now. Can you just write down who she can? We prefer email, right?
Yes.
It's better if you do it in writing. That's helpful to us.
Okay, that's fine.
Madam Chair, can I just, I know this is resolved for today, so I don't
Continued.
put that in, anywhere else. But thank you for being in front of us today. I know this is an intimidating, unfun thing. Good on you for standing there. This calendar is different than your other calendar, but I think we heard, and Madam Chair, that was extremely well done. Thank you for having that conversation and resolution. But if the court case is potentially beginning of April, the result outcome of that procedure is terribly relevant to the conversation we would potentially be having with Ms. Conrad. So I know we're talking about rolling it out, but I'm just wondering if post procedure in April or preliminary, I think we'll know a lot more, and it's material to my decision. So I just want to.
I would say this. I would say I doubt you'll know a lot more because maybe it'll be negotiated, maybe it'll be continued, and there's probably no way on earth that April will declare anything other than perhaps, it's sounding to me, I don't want you to say anything, but it's sounding to me like, well, I think what's going to happen is she's going to speak to Mr. Draskovich, and it's going to be far longer than April. So it's up to you. I can put it to May, and then you can, there's nothing that limits your ability to email us and ask us to move it up. I'm not going to promise you anything, but if the docket's not, I don't have any in February. I don't think we have any in March, do we? So if it's not crowded, I'll move you up. But nothing's going to be resolved in February, but nothing was resolved when your last hearing happened and you chose to go forward. So it's really, I'm not pressuring you either way, but you have at least one commissioner that's perhaps, if not all of them, would like to know the outcome first before they decide. So it's up to you. You can have it in February and let me know, or I can put it in May and you can ask to move it up. What are your thoughts?
If you want to just set it for May, and then, like you said, I'll ask to move it up, because I highly doubt that anything is going to be resolved by April. So
it won't be resolved by May.
I don't
But
think it's gonna be.
if it got
resolved.
negotiated,
It won't
maybe.
be- It's gonna, I think it's gonna be a little while.
Yeah,
before anything's
Agreed.
resolved.
And if I may
The
ask,
wheels of justice turn.
if I can ask a question to our Attorney General's office, but perhaps Ms. Conrad can listen to my question, staff. If the appeal is denied, the appellant can't return for another year for consideration. Is that correct?
No, this is a Reg 5109 appeal. So it is by statute 5 years,
5 years.
unless the commission shortens that time. So in this one, you have the ability to set the time frame as far out as 5 years.
So I guess my question's answer is worse than I had envisioned. So if there's a denial, you've got a 5-year wait, if you will. If there's clear information, then perhaps you don't have to wait 5 years. But that's my conversation with the Attorney General's office.
Okay. So are we setting it for May?
This is one of those unusual times where I'm going to let you choose. You can have it in May. We can, is there a possibility we can take it off and then she can ask to have it placed back on? Is that an option? Once it's at the request of the appellant, or does she kind of, is there a way?
Will she lose February if we take it off?
Sorry, I know you want to do it? Okay. Can we take it off calendar and have her asked to renotice it?
Yes, but I would I think it would be better if she had a continuation that's coming, that's on the record today, so that there's at least a date set.
So I'll give you the option. We can give you a date in May, and then you can communicate with us the month before. Yes, you know, if Mr. Draskovich says, "Are you crazy? It's time to go work somewhere else." You know, that's a conversation you two can have, and you can tell us you want to take it off calendar, or you want to withdraw it, or you want to move it. I will be as flexible as I can. If we don't have multiples on 1 month, I will do the best I can to accommodate that request. If you want to move it from May, either direction. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. May, I don't have all the list of the meeting dates. It's okay.
I believe it's May 2nd.
May 16th. May 16th.
Yeah.
That's what I have too. May 16th.
Sounds wonderful.
Okay, so do you have our contact information?
For A. Massey, D. Michael, and Rupert?
Yes. So if you could email us if you want to either move it up, move it back, or withdraw it. Okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Chair, sorry to interrupt. I don't think there's a withdrawal.
Oh, there isn't?
We're continuing.
I think at this point, you're going to have to make a determination unless you
Okay.
want to refer it back.
Okay, so those are your choices. Move it up, move it back, leave it that day, and we're gonna make a decision whether you come or not.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Great, thank you.
You ready? Oh, perfect. Okay.
Wow.
Sorry. It's a spicy meeting today. Who would have known that something that's moving so fast and ending so quickly could be so spicy? Okay. Madam Secretary, if you could please read in restricted number 2.
Restricted number 2 is the application of Superbad LLC doing business as Hard Hat Lounge for a restricted gaming license, and the application of Frank Sidoris for licensure as a member and manager. The recommendation of the Gaming Control Board is for approval with conditions as noted on the agenda.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commission members, Madam Secretary. Jennifer Gaynor from J. Gaynor Law here on behalf of my client, Frank Sidoris from the Hard Hat Lounge. As you know, Frank is in Bogota, Colombia, and appearing virtually. He said he is logged on. Hopefully that link works.
Hello?
Can you guys hear me or see me at all?
I hope you're a passenger.
I am a passenger, yes.
Perfect. Just checking.
We can see, and as you know, Frank is there because he is the touring rhythm guitarist for Slash's band, and they are performing in Columbia right now. And I will note for the record that we do have a key employee application on file, and Mr. Sidoris and the other members and the prospective key have all taken the online regulatory seminar already. And open for any questions.
Thank you. Thanks for zooming in. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to open up to my colleagues for any questions or comments.
Okay.
Commissioner Marcantonis, do you have any?
Thank you, Chair. I was comfortable with what I observed at the Nevada game in front of the Gaming Control Board. When are you expected back in the city? Do you spend on this trip a considerable amount of time out of Las Vegas, or these short stints, short gigs?
Usually, I'd say the average is I'm gone about a month at a time, then I'm home for about a month. But at this moment, I'm gone until February 14th. And then I'm back for a little bit. And then I have more touring than I usually would, kind of back to back right now. We'll follow up with Australia and Southeast Asia after this. And then I'll have another break at home for a bit. And then we finish up in Europe. And then I'm home for a considerable amount of time after that. But throughout the entire process, I'm in close contact with my key employee and the entire staff.
And Mr. Sidoris, you mentioned that you're actually overseeing your renovations. Is that right? I mean, you doing that? You have somebody on site who's now doing or overseeing the renovation. You're doing your own renovation, but somebody else overseeing it for you while you travel? All this.
Well, it was a mix of both. Over the last holiday season and the months leading up to that, my key employee Dylan and I, along with contractors and subcontractors, all renovated it together. Mostly, a lot of the cosmetic stuff was me and Dylan, our key employee, and then as far as plumbing and adding a grease trap and meeting all the city requirements, that was all contractors.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. It's remarkable to go from a guitarist to almost to a gaming entrepreneur. We've already had a champion swimmer going into compliance and finance today. I mean, boy, we've got the gamut, running the gamut. Thank you, Mr. Silks.
Yeah. Happy to do it. None of this is very conventional. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Commissioner Brown.
It sounds very exciting. Congratulations on your new endeavor. I love that you have surprise shows at no cover charge for people to come and enjoy music. And it sounds like a wonderful, wonderful new addition to Las Vegas. I know this location is not new, but you're infusing new energy into it. So good luck. And I'm excited to see what you do here in Las Vegas.
I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. It's been fun. And, we definitely plan on making more of those, at least, maybe twice a year, once a year. And, we have plenty more guests to show up and surprise everyone. So we'll make sure you guys are aware.
Commissioner Krolicki?
Mr. Sidoris, thank you for being with us. I appreciate the logistics you're absorbing to be with us today. I've cited Nevada history earlier in this meeting, and I'm going to do so again. In Nevada, particularly Las Vegas, has a wonderful history of transforming itself, and new is better. And if you're not changing, you're losing, and all of that. But sometimes you need to remember where you came from and preserve those historic nuggets of old Las Vegas. And you and with the support of your families desire to, I think your motivation was largely to preserve this little piece of Nevada's history. I think you're the second oldest bar, if that's what I heard. Just good on you. So the passion behind this project makes my support even easier for what you're attempting to do. And I am perfectly comfortable, and I applaud the effort and, the magic in the night, not sharing which band or which well-known musician shows up. It's almost like a bootlegger situation, another, establishment that's very well known here. But I think this is great, and I'm fully support the application.
I really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. We all, my family, everybody, we love Vegas. That was you know, a lot of the kids I grew up with didn't really go to the Strip unless their families came in from Chicago or Midwest, East Coast. But it's literally just our life, and that's who we want to be there for. That's who we support at all times, and it's just been such a blast. Like through all the renovations and the difficulties, it's still so rewarding and just very fun to support our community.
Commissioner Solis Rainey, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't. Again, I echo the comments and applaud the effort to save a little bit of history. We don't have as much as I would like in Las Vegas, and I appreciate those efforts.
As do I, and I appreciate you, what you've undertaken and your contributions to our gaming community. And I'm going to support your application and request or call for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of restricted item number 2 as read into the record by Madam Secretary and is recommended by the Gaming Control Board.
Any discussion, comments? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are none opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next on our agenda. Next item on our agenda are the administrative reports. Let's start with the board.
Chair. All I've got is for the February board meeting, it'll be Wednesday, February 7th in Las Vegas. We have 10 non-restricted items starting at 9 a.m. and we have 10 restricted items starting at 1 p.m. followed by, I believe, 2 new games.
Hey, thank you. Do we have anything from the Attorney General's office today?
No, not today, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, if we could close this meeting with our last agenda item, public comments.
This item is placed on the agenda to give the public an opportunity to comment on gaming related matters.
Okay, I'll first go to Carson City. Do we have anyone present in Carson City wishing to make public comment? Please step forward to the podium. It appears there is no one present to make public comment. How about here in Las Vegas? It appears there's no one present to make public comment. That will close our public comment section, and this concludes the Nevada Gaming Commission meeting for the month of January. We are adjourned.